Good evening, everyone. I'm now calling us back in order to the Los Alamitos Unified School District Board of Education board meeting. We originally met at 4:45, but before I get into that, we're going to start by letting you guys know we went into closed session at 5:45, and in there we discussed labor negotiations and matters pertaining to pupils. No action was taken, so no votes were made, and we're now coming back into open session at 6:30. We're going to start our open session with a Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm going to ask Dr. Nien to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance.
That'll be great. Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Let's begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which we stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. What we have always started doing after we come back into session at 6:30 is we have an executive summary of our workshops. And our first workshop was on our facility use rates. And Dr. Nien, I believe you will speak to that.
Yes, great. So our FMOT director, CJ Nolan, he first summarized the various options. We had actually up to 9 options that were presented in the facility use rates workshop number 1 and number 2. And after a lengthy discussion with the board on the various options, the board has now landed on option 7A, which was selected to distinguish the following order. Group 1, we will have the district-sponsored. Group 2 will be LAVE. Group 3 will be the city partners. Group 4 will be the community-based nonprofit volunteering staff. Group 5 will be community-based nonprofit paid staff. Group 6 will be all other nonprofit, and Group 7 will be for-profit. So that's the direction that the board has given the staff to look into the next steps. Thank you.
Thank you. The other part of our workshop is that this is our organizational meeting this evening, and this is the time where we decide what committees are, as individual board members, we will be participating on. We had a very quick discussion on those, and we will be dealing with those ideas at the end of our meeting. So now we are going into the official organizing part of our meeting this evening. And Dr. Pulver, I believe it is your honor to give the oath of office to new board members and some board members who have been hanging around for a long time.
It is my esteemed honor to be able to administer the oath to the 3 elected trustees, Ms. Meg Gatuli, Scott Fayette, and Chris Forham. Do you all have your papers in front of you?
No, but that's okay.
I have extras. And we thought it would just be easiest to go ahead and sit so that you'll still be able to be heard on the microphone, because for those that are watching at home, and I know many of you, your supporters, we are a little bit disappointed that the stay-at-home order, our meeting is closed to the public, and you'll all get an opportunity to be able to thank those that supported you through this process. So I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Meg Gatuli,
do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California.
That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I'm about to
enter.
Congratulations. We have a new elected board.
Yahoo!
And they will be signing this oath that they just verbally affirmed or swore to. And with that, Mrs. Catulli, I would like to see if you would like to say anything to the community upon your reelection.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Pulver. First and foremost, I have to thank every person who ever has voted for me, because I wouldn't be here and wouldn't have been here the number of years I've had without the support that the community has shown me. I know I haven't always made everyone happy, but I have always kept kids first in my heart. I think we do great work in Los Alamitos. I think that our board is outstanding. I'm looking forward to working with the 2 new board members, and we will continue to do fabulous things for all of our students. And I have to give a shout out to my husband, because without your support, you guys will find out. If your family's not behind you, you can't do this job, because even though you're the one that's sitting at the dais, there's a lot of help going on in the background. So thanks, hon. I appreciate it. That's it.
Thank you, Madam Catulli. Mr. Fayette.
I'd like to thank, first and foremost, my wife for supporting and enabling me to do this. Also, my 3 wonderful children, Caitlin, James, and Joseph. Also, there were many members in the community who expressed their support for me. I just want to name a few of them. Yeah. David Locke, Matthew Lenton, and Ann Sachs. Also would like to thank our outgoing board members because of the legacy that they've left. Mr. Nice. Boyer and Ms. Karen Russell, they both left an impressive, intimidating legacy that we're going to try to follow in. I just like to thank my parents also. My dad grew up on a farm, and if you know anyone who grew up on a farm, they're incredibly hard workers, and they have pearls of wisdom. And I just want to leave you with something he told me. You get what you pay for. I got 0 votes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fayette. And now, Mr. Forham, would you like to say?
Yes, I would. I want to say thank you. I know. I need them to hear me. Thank you. I feel very honored to be part of the Los Alamitos Unified School District. Thank you to Trustee Area 2 voters who have elected me. And as promised, I won't let you down. It is important to me to thank someone that was taken from me in 2018. I am sure that 5 months ago, Jill up there was saying, "You do this, Chris." She always supported my efforts and my career. She always reminded me to make a difference for all kids. Thank you to my campaign support team who were my family, my neighbors, my friends, my colleagues from this school district, as well as from my former school district. From their clerical support, advice, walking the streets, and giving me huge encouragement, I am here today because of you. Thank you. And lastly, I need to say hi to my 2 grandsons, Shane and Liam, who are watching from home. And as students at Lee Elementary, I will not only continue to work hard for you, but for every student in all 5 trustee areas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Congratulations to Ms. Catulli, Mr. Fayette, Mr. Forham. I also personally would just like to thank all of those who put themselves out there to run for school board. Their belief and their passion and the youth in this community is commendable, and I want to thank all of them who ran a positive and supportive campaign on behalf of this community. So we appreciate that as well.
Okay, the next
You're still president for a little bit longer, Mrs.
We
Catulli.
could do a countdown. Okay, we're now on to our election of officers to serve during 2021. We elect a president and a vice president. So the first motion that I will entertain is a motion to elect president of our board.
I would like to nominate Mrs. Marlis Davidson for president.
Second.
Second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0 unanimously. Congratulations, Mrs.
She's so excited!
Here's the official handing of the sanitized gavel.
So badly.
Now you need a vice president.
Okay. Okay, so now we'll entertain nominations for Vice President of the School Board,
I would like to nominate Diana Hill.
and I'd like to second it. All in favor? Oh,
Ask
is
for
there a
discussion.
discussion? This is going to go on all night, you know.
That's
Yeah,
quite all
that's
right.
okay.
Is there a discussion? Okay, I'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, 5-0. Great.
Congratulations,
Yay.
Diana.
Yay, Diana.
Congratulations, Mrs. Hill.
And I also want to thank them because I've got great bookends here that are going to help me get through my first night and help me through some of my mistakes. We now move on to reports and recognitions, and I am going to give my first.
No,
Oh, no, I'm
no.
sorry. C already?
C, you're
C. Okay, C, we're looking at designation of dates, times, and locations of the regular Board of Education meetings during the 2021 year. Do I have a motion?
I move.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Oh, I just want to point out that we usually try to meet the second and fourth Tuesday of the month, and some months we only meet once. And this will be posted on the website?
This will. We actually took a look at this earlier in the year. This is really just the board during the organizational meeting committing to it. Where there's deviations from the second and the fourth is sometimes we're also trying to be sensitive if it falls on a religious holiday or near that. We want to be mindful of that as well.
It falls on my anniversary.
Oh, that's
Guess that
hard.
doesn't work.
It
We've
seems
all-
every year a birthday, an
We've
anniversary.
all had
or-
birthdays or
Yep.
anniversaries.
Yeah.
Get ready, gentlemen.
Well, in spite of that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes carry 5-0. Now we are moving on to reports and recognitions, and I'm going to attempt my first board president report. I need the clicker. Something to start it off with before I go to the first picture. At this point in millions of unsung heroes, uncounted numbers of sacrifices, proper dedication and no rest is the only reason we live happily every day. At this point in 2020, I'm not sure about the happily every day part, but I do know that our lives are more secure emotionally and physically because of the efforts of people who do cause this district to work effectively every single day. When I say schools, many of you will first imagine the beautiful faces of children or see in your minds a teacher instructing a class. But what I want you to focus on tonight is an expression of deep gratitude to those in the district who literally are the needle and thread that stitch it all together and hold us safely in place when it feels like the world around us is unraveling, our classified employees. Okay, so having taught in the district for 25 years, I cannot begin to tell you how many times I was saved by an incredibly gifted, patient, giving member of this group. However, it is not until I got out of the classroom and as a board member started touring all the parts of the district that I truly realized the diverse roles classified employees play. I would like to share some of those roles with you tonight. We as the board are truly grateful to the classified members of our LaSalle family that give tirelessly to our students, staff, families, and community. Thank you to school office coordinators who are the front lines responding and problem-solving issues none of us have faced before. And to extended daycare staff making important connections as they support and care for our students. Thank you to our attendants and health clerks who take on so many more responsibilities since COVID became such a challenging part of everyday lives. Thank you to our custodial staff who are working double time to keep our facilities sanitized and safe, and to our tech department that literally has kept our ability to impart learning afloat since school closures in March. Thank you to our noon aides who've been so flexible as their jobs have been redefined in the age of COVID. And to the accounting payroll staff, whose job seems impossible to me as we rush to fund and order PPE and work to make sure that every teacher and child has the equipment they need to succeed. Thank you to our warehouse workers who have handled all those shipments of PPE and tech devices, and bus drivers who not only are the first to greet many of our children every school day, but also take on other responsibilities as they rise. Thank you to our preschool instructional assistants and instructional aides who make those personal connections that are so desperately needed in the time of masks and social distancing. Thank you to our ground maintenance and skilled maintenance staff who keep our campuses safe and welcoming places for all to learn and to grow. Last but not least, thank you to our pony mail delivery staff for making sure everything gets where it needs to be as fast and effectively as possible. And to our food service assistants who have magically continued to prepare and serve food to our families in a drive-through service since we closed in March. I cannot close without sending out a special thank you to Tina D'Angelo for being an angel in our lives. Every one of us can share stories of how Tina never stops giving of herself. I also want to express sincere thanks to Robert and Beckett, who are the tech wizards behind those walls back there. They're part of a team of unsung heroes who make these meetings happen virtually to our community. I know that I likely have missed a job or two, but please know that we are deeply appreciative of the hard work and dedication constantly demonstrated by our classified staff. As I previously stated, they are the needle and thread that hold us together every day. For that, we are truly, truly grateful. Thank you. Better together. And now we'd like to move on to our student board members report. Is he doing this virtually, right? He's not with us this evening?
We do have a recorded. Nico, our student board rep, recorded his report to the board for this evening.
Good evening, President Catulli, esteemed board members, Dr. Pulver, executive cabinet, and community members watching live. I apologize for not being able to be there in person this meeting, but just like many other things this year, it looks like I will have to attend virtually. However, that will not stop me from presenting my best presentation possible to all of you today, so without further ado, here's my last student board report of 2020. Students and staff returned not too long ago on November 30th from our Thanksgiving break, but just like that, we have our winter break that lasts from December 18th to January 14th. And with the new year comes the end of first semester. Time really is flying by, and before you know it, students will be taking their first semester finals. And although finals are never fun for students, I can attest to that, there's still plenty of time to start studying and mentally preparing for these exams, as they aren't until the end of January. Now for this report's athletic portion, I spoke with members of the track and surf teams to see what their practices look like during COVID. For track and field, the varsity team practices around 6 times a week, and the lower levels practice 2 to 3 times per week. While athletes are running and doing some grueling sets, they practice social distancing and wear masks. Now our surf team, on the other hand, is up and at 'em, suited and ready to surf by 6:20 a.m. every morning. The surf team also practices social distancing in the water as they go one person per wave. And I don't know about any of you, but it's hard enough for me to even wake up at 6:20 a.m., let alone to get into that cold water, especially during the winter. So kudos to the surf team for doing that, because I can't imagine that it's easy, but it just goes to show their passion and dedication to the sport. In activities news, a couple weekends ago, our drama department held their first virtual show, Behind the Computer Curtain, and I spoke with a cast member to really see what it was like adapting to a virtual stage. They told me first and foremost that the entire cast was extremely grateful to have the opportunity to perform during the pandemic, even though there was no live audience. They wanted to give a huge shout out to the Griffin News and tech teams for helping them put on the show, as well as their teacher, Mrs. Castiglione, who's always fought for their voices to be heard. In spite of COVID, the drama program came together safely and surmounted these obstacles. This virtual performance has brought the cast together as a family, and they were so proud to be a part of this new era of performing arts during COVID. They also sold 434 virtual tickets to their show. It was nothing short of excellent, and I'm already counting down the days until the next one. And even before their show, the drama department had already gotten started being active as they held a canned food drive. This occurred earlier on in November, and they collected over 340 canned goods to donate to needy families just in time for Thanksgiving and the holidays. The drama department is also having another fundraiser to raise money for their next performance in the form of a cookie decorating competition. If you want to get involved, all you have to do is send $5 to the LoSal Drama Department Venmo, which is at LoSal Drama, all lowercase. Bake and decorate a cookie from home. Send in a picture of your creation to at LoSal Drama, all lowercase, on Instagram, and tune in daily to vote on your favorite cookies. Photos are due by the 24th of December, and voting ends December 31st. The top 3 cookies will also win prizes. The drama program deserves a huge shout out for all the work they've done on and off stage as they find ways to do it all safely. Our choir program is also staying busy with their upcoming annual holiday show. Once again, they've been working super hard day and night for the show to come together, and on December 18th and 19th, you too can see all their hard work pay off right from the comfort of your own home. Tickets and more information are available at www.losal.showchoir.com, so make sure to check it out. And just as our drama departments and choir program have adjusted to the pandemic, our ASB is also adapting and transforming our traditions to be not only safe, but still fun and exciting as well. Last year, we were not able to have our annual Griffin Games week-long event, but we are very excited to bring it back this year with some big changes. It is actually already day 2 of Griffin Games, and the theme this year is Griffin Games Olympics. And as always, there are daily dress-out days to go along with each day, and they are as follows. Monday, Career Day. Tuesday, Tacky Tourist Day. Wednesday is a fan favorite and a personal favorite of mine, Pajama Day. Thursday is Summer or Winter Clothes, and Friday is Wear Your Team Color Red or Blue. It really is an exciting week to have a board report because we are right in the middle of all the action and suspense to see which team will win this year. What's really cool about the Griffin Games, however, is that it's inclusive to both at-home and in-person students, so everyone has a chance to be a part of the festivities on this last week before break. You can even track the point totals daily on the LoSal Instagram page at LoSalConnected2021. And while we are all about being better together at LoSal, I do have to say that the red team will absolutely crush the blue team this year. No doubt about it. Go red team. In other news, our senior shirts are now available for purchase in the activities office. They were designed by our senior class presidents Stephanie McCarthy and Phoebe Morcu and feature the design of Caton Surf Shop, which I think is a really cool way to support local business, especially during the holiday season. The last day to purchase a senior shirt is December 18th, so make sure to buy one before then. The link was sent out in an email via Parent Square, or you can buy one in the activities office by card, cash, or check. And with that covered, let's see our very last student spotlight of 2020. So far in these spotlights, we've seen painters, fashion designers, entrepreneurs, sign language enthusiasts, and gardeners, but we've yet to see any musicians. So this week, I'm proud to introduce you all to Kevin DeRamos. Kevin is a senior at LoSal who plays on the varsity soccer team and has been playing since he was only 3 years old. On top of soccer, Kevin was also in the choir program his freshman year and also works for his family's catering business. In his free time, he fixes up old cars, including a 73 Toyota Celica and a 75 Toyota Corolla. Now that you all have a better idea of who Kevin is, we can focus on why he's this week's student spotlight, his musical ability. Mr. DeRamos has been playing the guitar for about 5 years now and got in some good practice time during the stay-at-home lockdown. What started off as a love of music has turned into an outlet for him. He tells me that playing guitar is not only a fun hobby, but also a way to cope with stress and anxiety. He enjoys playing songs and singing along and has even written a couple songs of his own. Although he doesn't plan to pursue a career in music, he assured me that he will always keep his guitar close by to play a tune or distract himself from the craziness of the world for a bit. I'll let you all see for yourselves his talent in this short video.
No, I'm afraid of change. Guess that's why you stay the same. So tell me to leave, unpack my bags, get on. Find someone that loves you better than I do. Cause you remind me every day I'm not enough, but I still stay. Feels like
That is some serious talent right there, and congratulations to Kevin for all his hard work. Hats off to you, Kev. Well, that's all I have for this report. I want to wish you all a wonderful winter break. Have fun, spend some quality time with your families, stay safe, and have a great evening.
That was wonderful, Nico, and it's just very exciting to see how even in these times of COVID that the kids are so versatile in what they can accomplish, and they're just out there doing great things. So thank you very much for sharing. Now we'd like to move on to our superintendent's report. So Dr. Pulver, I have the click.
Thank you, Madam President, esteemed members of the board. I do not have a PowerPoint tonight because of the different recognitions. I thought I would, well, I said I would be brief. I don't know if I can promise that now, just because a few things come to my mind. Watching Nico's student report, board member report really just brought to light all the work that our performing arts teachers across the district, not just at Los Alamitos High School, but at our elementary schools and our middle schools, how they've had to really think creatively to put on different shows. Whether I had the pleasure today of watching, I think it was Mythologues from McAuliffe, and even how they did the thespian nighttime parking lot recognition, whether we were watching the McAuliffe Show Choir. Oak did a wonderful virtual choir as well. And then tonight, actually, I got the pleasure to be able to pre-record our instrumental music program at Los Alamitos High School under the direction of Mr. Justin Padilla is having a community concert. It's called Inspiration 2020. They're well aware they did not want to compete against the board meeting, and but it is our jazz band and orchestra ensemble, and they have that. They're streaming, started at 7 o'clock tonight through 11 p.m., and I would be surprised if they don't have some type of encore performance. So just the way that our arts community has really been able to find a way to still find a passion and an outlet for our students who are immensely talented. My hat has to go off to all of our staff and really our parents who've also supported it. I did get a sneak peek of some of the practice of our show choir performance, and you'll be amazed. If any of you watch that this weekend, I would encourage you. So our kids and our teachers, they are true artists in finding ways to do that. I also just wanted to reiterate the message that I sent out to all of our families on Monday afternoon about some of the changes before winter break. And one of the things I'm extremely thankful for is the countless hours and collaboration over the summer with over 80 plus staff members under really the leadership of Mrs. Andrea Reed and the ongoing summer committees to take a look at how we open up our schools and really allowing us to be nimble throughout the year as things change, that we had set plans that we could navigate through in and out of so that we're not having to create those when the crisis continues to, or the goalposts continue to change. And so I want to just really thank the courage of this board, because I know you have really prioritized and focused on opportunity to provide an in-person instructional option for our families of those that wished it, as well as prioritizing a virtual program for all of our families. And I know that commitment continues on into the second semester. And so it was difficult for us to really have to consider, should we temporarily move Los Alamitos High School to distance learning, which is what I announced yesterday to our community, that we are moving Los Alamitos High School only to distance learning starting tomorrow for a period of 2 weeks of actual school instruction. It's longer than 2 weeks because of the winter recess, but it'll be through Wednesday, January 13th. And we'll come back to in-person instruction Thursday, January 14th, because we're also very mindful that finals for our students is at the end of January. That will only give them about 1 week of in-person instruction before our finals. And so I know Dr. Stone is going to be meeting with staff to really help. How can we provide additional supports to our students? You might have even heard today, LA Unified, their semester's ending right around now. They have decided not to issue Fs at the first semester because of the large number of D and Fs that they want to give students at least, I think, through the end of January to get caught up rather than get an F on their report card. So I know we'll be looking at a myriad of things as well to try to help support our students who are struggling. But our elementary and our middle schools will remain open on their hybrid schedule. The reason we really decided to take a look at moving the high school to distance learning is the compoundness of different data points. So while our number of cases have increased since Thanksgiving, like the nation, like the county, and like the state, it's really also compounded with the number of individuals who are affected due to the close contact guidance and what Orange County Healthcare Agency when we contact trace. And so those numbers got too significant that now we had a large number of students who were really borrowing access to their curriculum. And so we made that decision to go into distance learning. And then the other thing that we communicated to our families, as much as we had really hoped to be able to consider moving from a hybrid setting to traditional at the elementary sooner than later, we did share with our families that it wouldn't be any sooner than February 1st. We realized that February 1st, as we shared earlier, was a flexible goal, a goal that we had hoped could come to fruition. It does not look like that it'll be now, and so we've taken February 1st off the table to move to traditional at the elementary level, but we've not taken the option off the table. We've simply said we're going to continue to assess, and we'll look closer to the end of March, early April. Our spring break is the second week of April, and so take a look at that timing to see if the conditions present themselves to be more appropriate to consider that option as well. And so with that, I would like to welcome. Today we were able to, on behalf of the Board of Education and administration, we delivered Mrs. Fields cookies, all packaged in a little grab and go to all of our employees because I just wanted to be able to, we wanted to really express in some small token the appreciation of the countless hours and dedication that they provide to our students and to this amazing community. And so we do hope that everyone has a safe, joyful holiday. I was talking to one of our employees today at the high school, and she said, you know, I think we all need to find joy. It's really about where we choose to let our eyes gaze. And do we choose to gaze on the joyfulness or the sorrowness or the sadness? And so in talking with her, she says, I choose to find the joy. And so I would challenge all of us to consider to do that, because these are still beautiful times, and really what matters the most is one another. I would also encourage this community to continue to follow all the public health guidance. We want our kids back in school, and we're committed to January 14th, having them back in person at the high school, and it's going to take all of our support. We have also, over winter break and for the first 2 weeks into January, we've decided to suspend all extracurricular activities outside of school, in another effort to really just reduce the close contact possibilities, which might require someone to have to quarantine. So we think we're taking a measured approach and look forward to continuing to navigate through this process. So that concludes my superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Pulver. We know that the decisions you have to make are so difficult, and you and your team are so responsible and diligent about moving in any direction. So thank you very much. We know it's hard. We're now going to move on to recognitions of some very special people, and the first one will be done via Zoom with Dr. Milton Howton, who is our Personnel Commissioner. And Dr. Pulver and Dr. Frazier are going to address this special recognition.
So thank you, Madam President, esteemed members of the board. It is my sincere pleasure and a bit sadness to have to say pleasure to show our appreciation for Dr. Milt Howton, who has served as the board appointee to our Personnel Commission, which really oversees the classified service, the rules and regulations of the merit system for classified service. I had the pleasure of actually being able to be part of the interview process when Milt was selected as the board representative. He has been reappointed for 2 or 3 terms to that position. He has served as chair. He's always been a representative of this community, a champion for our classified employees, an individual who gives back to the community, very involved in RHA and scholarships for students, as well as a Rotarian, and really believes above service above self. And we are going to miss Milt, who is moving out of the state and will no longer be able to serve in his position. And tonight I would also like to publicly say happy anniversary to he and his wife, Beverly, which their anniversary is tonight. And so I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Joe Frazier, who would also like to express some gratitude and appreciation for Dr. Howton.
Thank you, Dr. Pulver. And we were lucky enough to recognize Dr. Howton at the last Personnel Commission meeting as well. But to echo what Dr. Pulver said, it's been a pleasure. I know it's been short, Milt, just you and I, for the last 2 years, but it's been an amazing journey. It's a bittersweet time. Obviously, we're very happy that you are making your way where you need to go, and so we really appreciate your service. You've served on the Personnel Commission since January of 2014 as the school board appointee. In addition, you've been a Rossmore community member since 1990. For those of you who don't know, Dr. Howton also is a retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel, 30 years combined active and reserve service. So we appreciate that about you so much, Milt. He's also served as Dr. Pulver said, as the president of the Los Alamitos Seal Beach Rotary Club and also of the president of the Rossmore Homeowners Association Board of Directors. Again, happy anniversary, number one. I think it's 30 years, Milt. So
Yes.
Congratulations to you and your wife as well. And we will truly miss you. I mean, honestly, Milt, you just your record itself speaks of service. And we really appreciate all you've done for our school district. So thank you.
Thank you.
And Milt, we also have a special certificate you'll be receiving. The Los Alamitos Unified School District Board of Education and Administration appreciate Dr. Milton Howton for his service and commitment to Personnel Commissioner 2014-2020. So we thank you for always serving your community with your heart. We thank your wife for all that she's accomplished and done too. And now we'd like to give you a few minutes to share with us.
No, thank you. It's been an honor to serve the community in the various capacities we talked about, but the school system in particular, because in my own occupational history, I had the opportunity to serve as a classified employee. A number of years ago, I was a custodian in the Glendora Unified School District. And so being part of the Personnel Commission gave a special recognition to the role of the classified employees. And so I felt privileged to be able to do that. As in my position, I was your board representative on the commission. And so I was grateful to be able to serve you all in that capacity also. We're looking forward to moving to be closer to some of our family. And so we're not too sure when that's going to happen exactly, but we're hoping soon. We're not sure. COVID obviously is impacting everything, so that we're moving to Oregon, and Oregon is just as shut down as California is. So we don't know what's going to happen there. But anyway, I thank you all for this opportunity to serve the community, and I wish you all the best in the future.
Well, we thank you. And would any board members like to speak? Ms. Catulli?
Yeah, Milt, this is Meg. I just want to thank you for always putting yourself second, and whether it's our students or the community in general or whatever other larger entity out there that you were being very helpful and supportive of. I have seriously I don't know if I've met anyone of your caliber where both you and Bev are always, what can we do to help the community? What can we do to help our kids? What can we do to get our kids these scholarships? And you have made a huge impact on our community. We're going to miss you guys. Totally understand and support why you're relocating, but you're going to leave a big hole in Rossmore.
Thank you.
Would anybody else? Mrs. Hill?
Milt, I said it before, you will be really missed, and just It's always been such a pleasure when we used to actually go to events, to always get the opportunity to talk to you and Bev and to see how involved you are. And you really are a role model for anybody who believes in community and community service. And thank you, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Well, we wish you the best. It sounds very like an exciting adventure you're on, but you will be truly missed. And so thank you from the bottom of our hearts, Milt. Thank you.
We thank you all.
So now we're going to move on to recognizing Dr. Nancy Nien, very, very special and dear to our hearts, and Dr. Polder. We're going to do that.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. It is bittersweet to have to recognize and say goodbye to Dr. Nancy Nien. But it really isn't goodbye. Dr. Nien has been involved here as a beloved community member and parent in the district well before she was hired as the Assistant Superintendent of Business Services. Her roots are here in Rossmore, and I know that they will continue. She has such an openness to herself, willing to just help anybody in need. I think anytime you talk with Nancy, you can't help but to smile and laugh. And so at this point, Nancy has been selected for an assistant superintendent position in a neighboring district, and her last day with LoSal is this Friday. I'm so grateful that Dr. Nien gave us plenty of notice to really be able to find a suitable replacement. We are actually in the selection process this week. But Dr. Nien joined us in 2017. She was a key player in many things, really helping us pass the $97 million Measure G bond. And you'll see the fruits of that with our multi-story building and many of the other facility projects that we are doing. Upgrading our district credit rating, refinancing obligations, both of those that have saved the taxpayers and the community members in this in the community, well over $40 million. She brought and negotiated a solar battery energy agreement that is expected to save the district over $16 million. And she was pivotal in helping us really take a look at some of our investments for our OPEB, employee retirement benefits, and to invest that where we could get a much higher return. And so that was one of the things that we've just wrapped up. And I think that an issue alone will really benefit this district for years beyond. It will outlive all of our legacy, quite honestly. So your ability to do that, Dr. Nien, and bring those ideas to the table. She's also done a great job at being able to mentor others. And we're just going to miss you, but we wanted to be able to recognize your service. And I know that you'll continue to be a person who we can lean on for support and just an active member of this community and really a great friend. I know our friendship will continue even beyond Friday. So I look forward to that.
Nancy, we really thank you. Your job is why we can do, the way that you do your job is why we can do so many things in our district. To be able to save us money that creates programs is such a phenomenal gift, and you will be dearly missed. We've got a certificate for you. The Los Alamitos Unified School District Board of Education and Administration appreciate Dr. Nancy Nien for her service and commitment to Los Alamitos Unified students, staff, and the community. We wish you all the best, and like Dr. Pulver said, we know that we'll be seeing you in the community, so we're not totally losing you, and we hope that everything goes very well for you in your future endeavors. Would anybody else like to speak?
Dr. Nien, I'm going to be repetitive. It was brought up, but I truly think when you came to our district, it was that fresh set of eyes, and you brought all your knowledge and expertise, and you helped open our eyes too. And I think we've done some really innovative, beneficial things for this district, and I really appreciate you taking us down that road. I know that people think that numbers are not as interesting as other things, but they're vital. And you have always been so good with your interim reports and your budgets, and you're open and you're honest. And I think everyone in the district, or all of our employees, always knew that you would explain something till they understood it. because you weren't ever trying to hide anything. And I think in that position, it is just so vital. And I also appreciated how you really mentored a lot of different individuals within your department. Everyone needs a mentor, and we're going to miss you, but I'll look for you at Costco. So, you know, I'm sure I'll see you somewhere, and best of luck.
Mrs. Hill?
Thank you. Nancy, I remember the first presentation you made to us as the chair of the Bond Oversight Committee for Measure K. And then I remembered when we saw Mrs. Myers was retiring, and you just seem like the most perfect fit for our district, for what we needed at the time. And we all appreciate you very much, and your joyful way of doing things. And you walk into a room and you can't help but smile when you're in that room. And I really, really appreciate that, and appreciate you for that, and your beautiful girls and your family. And I'm very excited for you and your career. And, you know, that's a hard thing here in LaSalle, I think sometimes, is that we are a smaller district. And so it's a great place and people love being here, but we also know that people who have aspirations want to move their careers. And so I really respect that. And I know you'll do great work for other students in other districts, and thank you very much. And we will see you around, but we will miss you here as well. Thank you.
I know Nancy socially. She is, her openness, her honesty, and her intelligence come across anytime you speak with her. I know the district is losing a very valuable commodity and a person that's a wonderful person. I just hope it's a coincidence that you decided to leave when I got elected.
Nancy, thank you very much. Now we're going to recognize our third, oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm just going to add that I know where Nancy lives, and
Oh,
it's
good.
5 houses from me. So if you ever need anything, I know where to knock on that
Yeah.
door.
Perfect. Would we like to let Dr. Nien say a few words?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. Sorry.
Well, I mean, it's a bittersweet. I feel that I was a good CBO coming to LaSalle, but you guys actually made me a great CBO. You have let me fly. You have let me extend my wings. You have helped me to get to an even higher place that I could ever thought of. All the innovative things was somebody's idea. And I want to say that it was one board member said, "Can you look into that?" I was like, okay, let's do it. And all the different things, the bond, the investment, it was somebody on the board had that one idea, but you know, we took it and we run with it. As you all know, I run pretty fast that way, not physically running, but run with ideas. But you guys all have helped me to even get better at my craft. So I really appreciate that. I know that retired board members, Dave Boyer and Karen, they're not here, but I also want to publicly thank them. They have been strong supporters, like all of you have been. Even Scott and Chris, we have met in different places as well. I mean, you know, we on our choir at McAuliffe and different social events, obviously. But I just want to thank you for all your support. You guys, the board and superintendent as well, and my colleagues, you have raised me to even be a bigger and better, I would say, a CBO. And so I will be eternally grateful for this community. But like everybody said here, I'm still here. And so I'm happy to serve in any capacity if need to. I mean, I was the CBOC chair. I think I took it over after Diana right there. And if there's anything that I can help the district, I told Andrew, any new things I learned, I will be sure to call you and text you right away, so then the LaSalle can also benefit. We are here, we're not moving anywhere, and we will always be happy to be a support for the school district. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Nancy. And now we'd like to move on to recognizing Mrs. Catulli, our board president, who handed the gavel over. But I do have to say that Like some riders have ghost riders and some people have phantom. I've got phantom presidents on each side of me here that are they're gonna get me through this learning process. So did you want to go first? No. Okay. Meg, you've served this district and our community with incredible dedication for 2 decades, and we're so thrilled that we swore you in tonight for another term. Not only have you served in our district, but you also continue to represent our schools at state and county levels. Therefore, how fortunate was it for us that you were elected last December to serve as board president for 2020? Now I realize that at this point in time, you might not feel the fortunate part, but we certainly are grateful for your wisdom, guidance, and resourcefulness in a year that presented constant challenge and change. I know that your heart was in building the arts and technology programs, strengthening mental health services, and overseeing growth and enhancement of all programs involving the 4As. Although the path we traveled may not have been the one you expected, you navigated with us with your calm voice of experience through ever-evolving challenges, protecting all that we value along the way. As president, you worked with Dr. Pulver to finalize a months-long process of breaking our district into trustee areas. Just as the challenge was resolved, COVID hit, and we had to close down schools and go to online learning. You were a voice of calm as the board sought to support Dr. Pulver and his incredible team in not only striving to create the best educational options in an incredibly complex situation, but also the safest environment possible when we determined students could return to campus. A lesser leader would have considered pushing everything else aside, but 20 years of serving on the school board taught you that we can deal with difficult challenges while holding tight to our dreams. Thank you, Meg, because in this complicated time, you not only led us through the craziness of the pandemic, but as president, you also saw a number of our district's aspirations come true. We started our first online summer program using LaSalle teachers to present A to G curriculum to students for full credit. We created a position for human relations TOSA and hired a wonderful teacher, Nadia Williams, for that position. We supported moving forward in the creation of an ethnic studies program at the high school and throughout the district. McAuliffe and Oak opened our first wellness centers for students. These are major accomplishments at a time when any one of them could have been pushed back and delayed by the immediate challenges presented by the pandemic. Meg, thank you for being an amazing 2020 president who led with a brilliant mind full of wisdom of experience and a heart that never stops giving. Thank you, Meg.
Thank you. I didn't do any of those things by myself. It's only done as a team. Whenever I needed to contact the board members or Dr. Pulver at the same time, it was always dear team, because it is frustrating to new board members that you're only 20% of any decision. And it's kind of frustrating because you have ideas and things you want to do and what changes you want to help implement, but you're only 20% of any decision. So it really is a very collaborative process. We have an incredible leadership team here in LaSalle. We have dedicated employees, classified and certificated. We have parents who are committed. It is a dream place. So if you have to go through a little bit of, I'm going to say it, a little bit of hell on earth, you might as well do it in LaSalle, because I don't think it could get much better than this. Thank you so much for your kind words. It has always been my honor to try and support the district, further our vision along, and to help every single kid become the best they can. Thank you.
Dr. Pulver?
Thank you. Yes, I just would like to elaborate a bit more, Mrs. Catulli, for your unprecedented and strong leadership throughout 2020. I think the board had great confidence in being able to appoint you as president. Watch out, Mrs. Davidson. You never know what the future holds. I was thankful that Mrs. Hill, who was president right before, really did a lot of the heavy lifting with the trustee maps. And I feel like in this case, Ms. Catulli, you've done a lot of the heavy lifting for this board with COVID. And as you pass it on to Mrs. Davidson to lead in that helm, I know the heavy lifting that you've been able to do. Just your continued strength and experience that you have. You've never lost sight of the lens of students of what it was like to be a parent in this district and now a grandparent in the district. district, and also being responsive to the community. You truly value the partnerships that we have with our civic partners, whether it be Seal Beach, Rossmore, City of Los Alamitos. You are a former queen, I should say, pardon me. I was going to say king and queen of hearts, but queen of hearts through life, and your leadership circle member to that as well. But really just, you're such an active board member, ready to do visitations at school sites, attend PTA meetings, respond to parent emails as the board president, because what the community may not know, but typically if the community member emails the board, the president tries to have a response from a unified sense. And just your always openness to take my phone calls, to help me bounce ideas off of you, to get direction of how do we lay things forward. And this is a year that I think everyone across the state, the nation, the country, the world is looking forward to putting a close to it and seeing the new chapter in which that will bring. But with that, you led us with grace, patience, and above all, courage. So I thank you for that.
Thank you.
And as a small token of the board's appreciation, I do have a gift for you as serving as our board president this past year. I will give it to you at the end of the meeting so we don't have to play musical chairs. But we just want to say cheers and thank you to an amazing board president for the term of 2020.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak? Mrs. Hill?
Thank you. Meg, I have often said that you have been the best mentor anybody could have as a board trustee, just from your knowledge of not only our district, but also really what it means to be a trustee, what the responsibilities are, how things work legislatively, and just really appreciate your knowledge, but also more than that, appreciate your heart, because you really do. You have a heart for our students, for our staff. You keep the main thing, and I just have been in awe of you for a long time. And it was pretty funny because you did say in 2019 I had the hardest year as president, and then see, you gotta watch what you say sometimes.
Yeah.
So, but you really did lead us through this time and allowed us to, when I say push the envelope, do what our community was asking on both sides, because it was two-sided, and to be able to give as much as we could took a lot of leadership and a lot of courage, and a lot of support for our superintendent. And that's a big thing that the president does. And as it was Dr. Pulver's kind of first year, I guess it was your hopeful first year, it was a lot on everybody's plate.
Yeah.
So once again, thank you very much, and thank you for your friendship.
Yeah, thank you.
I have run across Meg at everything and everywhere. I used to think I was pretty involved, but she seems to go to everything and be everywhere. Before I decided to run, I reached out to Meg, and I want to say just how giving of herself, her time, and her honesty. She sat down and talked with me, and despite what she told me, I still ran.
I was honest.
She gives of herself, her true honest self, and she has continued to mentor me and help me out, and basically so I don't drown as I'm trying to drink through the fire hose. And I just want to say how grateful and appreciative I am of your willingness to give your time and your expertise. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Scott. Thank you.
Chris?
And I just feel very lucky I get 4 years of you, Meg, and because our times have not crossed very much in the past, but 4 more years. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thank
you
you.
very much. This is embarrassing.
Well, you deserve that and much more, so thank you so much. So normally we would go into recess, but we are going to move on to community and staff participation. There is none. So am I supposed to gavel at some point?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
So you tell me when I gavel, okay? I just really want to gavel. Okay, so we're going to information and presentations, and the first one is presentation of supplemental materials. And Mrs. Reed?
Thank you so much, President Davidson. Tonight, I'm bringing forward Visible Body to support our Los Alamitos High School science classes. And so Visible Body will be on public preview here in Education Services for the upcoming 30 days.
Thank you so much. And then we're moving on to presentation of textbooks. Mrs. Reed?
Thank you, President Davidson. I'm bringing forward 2 textbooks this evening. The first textbook will serve as the primary foundational scope and sequence for our Los Alamitos High School German 4 and AP German course. In addition, tonight we are bringing forward The Cultural Landscape by Pearson 13 edition, which will serve as the primary curriculum for our advanced placement human geography classes. And both these textbooks will also be on public preview here in Education Services for the next 30 days.
Thank you.
I actually have a question, which I never do. Mrs. Reed, the textbook that's for the AP geography class, I'm assuming it's either recommended or on a list that was set up by the College Board?
The College Board has recommended text, and so our team does review those. You aren't bound to select a book from the recommended text. However, our team did feel that since the scope and sequence of the advanced placement course and test change, they felt it was necessary to put a new textbook that would support the learning that College Board would be looking to assess in the upcoming May assessment.
Okay, great, thank you.
And to our 2 new school board members in the community, those textbooks are also, Mrs. Reed makes those available to any one of us so that we too can preview them for the 30 days. I especially like that AP environmental book. I didn't want to give that one back. So now we're moving on to consent items, and I'd like a motion on consent, 11A, C through E, and G through Y. Okay, tell me. Oh, are there any, there's 2 pulls, B and F. Are there any other pulls? No?
Okay.
So
Then I will so move what you mentioned.
thank you.
Because I'm not reading that
And
again.
I will
have a-
second.
Do I have a second?
I will second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? No? Okay, so all in favor? Say aye.
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 All opposed? No? Okay, sorry.
They're usual and customary, and we have questions answered if we have any.
Oh, okay.
Just say that.
Oh, okay. So what we wanted the community to also understand is that we get the agenda on the Friday before, and we have the weekend to preview it and develop any questions we might have, and then we submit them, and we get the answers beforehand, so that it isn't that we just are voting blindly on these measures. We've researched them, we've gotten answers, and we feel prepared to vote when we come together tonight. Thank you. I'm learning. Okay. So I actually pulled B and F, and I pulled B because it's approval for Julie Lusk to conduct research study, a digital arts program for therapy. She does art therapy at Los Alamitos High School as partial fulfillment of her doctoral program through Mount St. Mary's University in Wisconsin. The reason why I pulled this is for just to really share how fortunate we are to get these people who want to come and do their research and work with kids on our campuses. Julie's a former teacher in our district. She taught at Oak. She taught at high school. She did art therapy programs at the high school. She was the first one to create the digital yearbook through an Apple program, and she won an Apple Award for it. So, Julie is incredibly qualified for this position, and we're very fortunate at a time when funds are short to be able to have her come to our campus and work with our students as she prepares to complete her doctorate. So do I have any discussion or motion? Yeah, we should Oh, before I talk?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Can
So
somebody
I
take
will
notes
make
so I can remember next
Yes,
time?
I will make a motion I'll make a motion for consent item 11B.
I'll second.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Yeah, I'm getting it, sort of.
No, I think it's great when we have people who use obviously with approval of staff and parents, but if they're able to use our school sites and our school students for research so that they can better teach kids in the future.
Thank you. So,
And
all
I
in-
just
Oh, sorry,
want
go
to
ahead.
say that Mrs. Luss was one of my son's teachers. The first video VHS yearbook that they ever did, and she seemed so young when she retired, so she obviously had other plans to move forward. So I'm very excited to see this.
Anybody else? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Say no. Okay, the motion carries 5-0. And then moving on to F, it's approval of an,
Ask for a motion.
pardon?
You need to ask for a motion.
Oh, even, I don't tell what it is first? No, okay. Okay, I'd like to move approval for item F, which is approval of an agreement for Progressive Interventions to provide virtual parent education series at the CDC Center for Families.
So moved.
Second.
I pulled this item because, once again, I think at a time when we are so unsure about funding, and also at a time when there are so many issues of mental health in our communities, not just with children or adults, but for all of us, it's really important that our district is providing this kind of intervention and opportunity. I've had 3 main jobs in my life, and 2 of them, flight attendant and teacher, required so much scrutiny. These masks are now trying. So much scrutiny, and then so much preparation and mentorship. But the one job that nobody scrutinized me for or trained me for was to be a parent. And I think that opportunities for parent education should be looked at and revered, and every opportunity to be a part of that, I really hope our community reaches out and enjoys and learns from. So, any other discussion?
I would like to say something. I want to make sure I am correct, so I'm looking around the room, so I'll find out whether I am or not. I believe the funds for this parent education is coming from a grant.
Is that correct, Mrs. Reed?
Yes.
Through a child welfare grant in partnership with Orange County Department of Ed.
Right, which is, we actually, we meaning LaSalle Unified, try to get as many grants as we can, and we frequently do not get them. So whenever we get a grant, I always get kind of excited. And this, I think, is great use because exactly what Mrs. Davidson said. You have there's no requirements for becoming a parent, and there should be really strenuous classes before you embark on that. So, okay.
Anyone else?
I used to always say you have to go get a permit to get a new toilet, but you don't have to get a child.
Anyone else? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. The motion carries 5-0. Now we are moving on to our action items. The first is approval of recommendation to rescind a resolution, and Mrs. Hill is going to read that. No, that's not it, huh?
That's not the one that I have.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have
So,
it. Okay.
All that we're doing on this agenda item is I shouldn't say all that we're doing,
This is a big thing.
but we are rescinding a resolution that the board approved prior. So it's rescinding resolution 2021-09, authorizing the district and the superintendent to take all necessary actions in the event of a work stoppage. We're pleased we never had to come to that reality, and we were able to work collaboratively with LAEA and successfully open up our schools. And so this is a good faith effort that we want to publicly acknowledge that we did not have to do this, and that our relationships got us through this, and we would like to rescind this action should the board approve it tonight.
And Dr. Frazier is going to speak to this.
Just would echo what Dr. Pulver said. I think it really was a team effort from Ed Services to Fiscal Services to the board to our staff. I think everything in a true effort of collaboration and to do what's best for kids and have them back in person. So thank you for the opportunity to rescind this.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I'll move approval of the rescission. Is that the
Second.
correct word? Okay, thank you.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. It carries 5-0. Thank you. We're now going to, Dr. Nien is going to do a presentation and approval of the interim report for our budget.
Yes. Thank you, Kim. Let me get the clicker.
Oh, the cookies. I did wipe it off.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you, Tina. Well, good evening, Madam President, esteemed board members, Dr. Pulver, Executive Cabinet, and viewers online. Thank you for being here tonight. Tonight, we'll bring you the 2020-21 first interim report and the budget update. So the first interim report basically is our official revision to what the final adopted budget were, which we took to the board back in August. Remember, we had the 45-day update. And what a difference has time been. It's been a very, very different budget, as obviously as what we have presented back in August. And we have additional information to present to you tonight. This report is including actual financial data through October 31st, 2020, and some of the revised projections for the remainder of the fiscal year. And so it is our district's financial obligation that we present this report to you tonight, and as well as for you the adoption as well. I wanted to take you through the budget assumptions to see what was being adopted back in June, what we actually presented to you back in August for the 45-day update, and what we're presenting to you for tonight for the assumptions. The biggest one will be the cost of living adjustments. You will see on there, COLA, that's line number 1. When we adopted the budget back in June, it was a negative 7.92% COLA. It's negative. Obviously, something that we have, even in the toughest time in the past, this is pretty devastating for all California. Fortunately enough, it did get adjusted to 0%. I know it's 0%. It's not good, but it's better than.
Yeah, it's better than
it's been terrible, right? Obviously, and today, as we are hearing right now, still for current year, first interim, we are still looking at a 0% COLA. And so that's a major difference I want to bring up. The surge rate stay the same, PERS rate stay the same. The health benefits per employee costs, we were able to bring it down a little bit based on what we actually closed out in 2019-20. So what we try to do is to see how much do we spend in prior year, and we do include a 10% increase. There are some good years. There are some good years where the increase was smaller, but there are also some years which the increases were extremely significant, as you guys have seen in our past data. Regarding the multi-year projection, the biggest one as well at this point will be the cost of living adjustment. We are continuing to look at a 0% COLA for the next 2 years. So the current assumption from OCDE as well as from school services is still using the 0%. We are hearing that there are possible COLA maybe in the out years, but it's extremely low. It's less than 1%. That's the number we're hearing. And as you know, even at 1%, that is not enough for a step-in column and the base increases that we have in STRS and PERS and health benefits. So that will be a tough hit for all districts across California. This is no longer a LaSalle issue. This has always been across the state with the COVID hitting as well. So this is something to be aware. With the STRS rate, as you can see, from current year 2020-21 is a 16.15%. It goes down a little bit because there is a STRS the state is trying to help. It goes down to a little bit to 15.92. However, it jumps to 18.4%. In the third year out. That's a 2% increase, but that is still extremely significant. If you're looking at PERS rate, this is for all the classified staff members. Current year is about 20.7%. It goes up to 25.9%. So if you think about this, for every $100 we're paying somebody, the district is contributing to that the $25.90. It's almost $26. So for every $100, it's $26. For the STRS, it's a similar effect. For every $100, the district is contributing $18.4 for that. Those are extremely significant And as you've seen in some of our reports in the past, our increases have gone to about $1 million a year in sometimes. So depending on the rate. And this will also depend on the investment returns from CalPERS and CalSTRS as well. So anytime that we get a report from CalSTRS or CalPERS indicating a change, they call it the discount rate, which is the investment rate of return, that would adjust to that number. So it is very significant, and we do hope that the market stays well. Otherwise, this could projected to go up again in the future. The other caveat I do want to point out, and I'm going to have a better chart to show you, is our enrollment. As all our neighboring districts are experiencing, we are experiencing declining enrollment. This is not just for our district. Our neighboring district, from every single district we touch, all my colleagues are telling me, Nancy, we don't know where these kids are going. It's the same problem. They're going online school. There's some of them going to private school. They're probably going to different types of school. They're going somewhere, but the issue is every school, public school district, we are experiencing this problem. And so I will show you the chart over here. As you will see here, the orange or the red line that you see, this is our enrollment. We are now in 2020-21, so we're now at 93 right there. As you will see the number, sorry. It's at 93.05. You see the orange line there. So this is a huge drop from prior year. And it's a significant enough drop to what we project so far has been about between 40 to 100 student drop each year. That's been our experience. We do feel that this could be at the low. We don't think we'll drop more, but based on our experience, we were dropping in the prior years, and we'll be looking at some of the enrollment data as in a few months. We'll kind of see if there's any movement with the winter holiday. That could be a factor as well, to see what the enrollment is in January when we come back, to see if we need to adjust those numbers. But as you will see, we were at a high from 99.48 back in 2015, and we've been actually declining. But some of them were intentional. We didn't know that. There's different reasons why we did that. But at this point, we are projecting to further decline, and our numbers are based on the enrollment. And so we do see that enrollment is a little better. Let's say in January, we will be updating the next person will be updating for the second interim report. But this will be key for us. We are, for the next year's funding, we are using our prior year data still. That is one of the saving grace from this whole formula. They do understand that given current year, with all the different educational modeling, that they're saving us in 2 years. So current year, we're using last year's number, and next year, we're also using prior year as well. So we are saved that way. And I will now, turn to Elvia, and she'll be going through the first interim budget adjustments as well as the multi-year projections.
So as we do the transition, I just wanted the board to take a look at two different things, because you'll see it later as Elvia talks a bit. And it's really about the 2020-23 significant jump in STRS and PERS, and that's really is the retirement for our employees. And if, as an organization, we're over 80% of our budget is our people, that will have a significant impact. It'll jump up over almost 2.5% with STRS, and almost a little over 3% with PERS. And so you will see a big change in the 2020-23 when we take a look at a deficit spending chart and why that skyrockets back up that year. And then the enrollment, we have been on a gradual decline, and some of that has been somewhat thoughtful and intentional. We believed we were going to be relatively flat, or maybe down about 30 to 50 students this year. And then with COVID, just about every district has seen a sharp, as you see, a dramatic slope change between last year and this year. So we hope that our enrollment will go back up, that people who left, they probably realize, if I'm going to be away, you heard people earlier saying they were creating their own little homeschools or pods or things of that sort, and so dropped. We did not lose funding this year for that. It really will affect our funding 2 years from now. And so if our enrollment goes back up, up next year when hopefully, if COVID can be behind us, that may be a good thing. But right now, the county doesn't want us to just make an assumption that we're going to magically get these students back. And so we're having to adjust our budget based upon that. But that could be a way that we could see a swing back up if our enrollment goes up. So while we were having an interlude to clean, I will turn it back over to Elvia.
Well, good evening, esteemed board members, executive cabinet, and guests. I'm honored to be here today, and a warm welcome to our new board members. I'm excited for you. I'm looking forward to working with you, so welcome. And then also, I just want to take this opportunity to thank Nancy for her mentorship throughout these years. I'm going to miss my co-presenter next to me, so I really am going to miss you, and I wish you nothing but the best. So moving on with our first interim presentation. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, so here I'm going to go over what changed between our 45-day revision to our first interim. What are the major revenue changes as well as our expenditure changes. So as you can see here, our LCFF, which is our main source of funding, we had a small decline due to supplemental funds. Due to our UPP, our unduplicated pupil count percentage went down slightly, so that caused a decrease of $67,000. As well as our federal revenues increased by $298,000, and that was due to allocating our Title I, Title II carryover funds from last year, and our state funds increased a little over $1 million, and that was due to our CTE grant and our summer assistance program that we allocate this year as well, and our K-12 Strong Workforce Carryover Program. So a lot of the new money that you see here is primarily carryover money. And as well, we had an increase to our donation funds. We normally do not allocate donations at the beginning of the year, and we adjust them as we go through the year. Overall, our total increase in revenue, I forgot to mention, a huge decrease was $1 million, and that was normally the EDCC program, which is our extended day care program, they contribute $1 million to the general fund. Unfortunately, due to the COVID pandemic, their program has been impacted drastically. So therefore, we are currently projecting $1.3 million deficit in their program. So that $1 million is not going to be able to sustain. We're hoping that if things do change, we can bring that $1 million back. But at this point, we'd rather take it and not assume that they're going to be able to sustain it. So our overall increase in revenues was $362,000. So in our expenditures, our salaries and benefits increased by $885,000, and that was the 1% of schedule salary increase that was negotiated for the 19-20 fiscal year. Our books and supplies increased by $848,000, and that was allocating the state revenue monies and the federal carryover funds. And custodial supplies, contracted services supplies increased by 1.5, and that is also allocating prior year carryover monies, as well as we had a slight increase. Well, I shouldn't say slight, it was quite a significant, but it's because special ed, it's really hard to tell the needs as we start the year, and throughout the year we have additional contracts that we have to take to board for non-public placements. And we had a small decrease in equipment purchases of $20,000. So our overall increase in expenditures was $3.3 million. Our unrestricted fund balance was decreased by $2 million, and our restricted fund balance was decreased by $851,000. So looking at our multi-year projections, the prior slide reflected our unrestricted general fund and restricted combined, and as well here our multi-year projections. This is our total revenues and expenses that we project and where we are going to be at the end of the year and what percentage we anticipate being in our reserve levels. So for 2021, our total revenues are estimated at $112 million. Expenditures are projected at $116 million. A one-time textbook adoption of $3 million, and our transfers out of $1 million to our deferred maintenance fund. That is continuing every year. So our total deficit spending is $8.1 million. Our beginning fund balance we bring forward from last year's once we close the books. Our new ending fund balance is $8.7 million. We have to allocate $148,000 for revolving cash and our stores program, our stores funds. And then we have to allocate our restricted fund balances because those are categorical programs and they're restricted. So our 6%, if we calculate the 6%, that's $7.2 million that we'd have to set aside. So our unassigned ending fund balance is $336,000. Our total for 2021, we anticipate being 6.28%. When we add Fund 17, our special reserve fund balance of $5.7 million, our true ending fund balance reserve percentage is 11.8%. Looking forward into the 21-22 fiscal year and 22-23 fiscal year, keep in mind these are assumptions. We are assuming our reduced enrollment projections, our reduced ADA, and of course an increase in PERS and STIRS in the outward years. So if you look at our projected ending fund balance for 21-22, we are now down to $7.4 million. That brings us down to a 6.19% fund balance, and once we bring in our Fund 17, we're at 11.52%. Where we see a huge reduction is in our 22-23, because that's where our reduction in ADA, because of this year's enrollment, that's where we're going to see a huge impact. It's equivalent to about $4.2 million reduction in revenue in the LCFF calculator. That's a huge impact. Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, no problem.
Newbie question.
No,
What is
absolutely.
Fund 17? Do we have, is it discretionary, restricted? I don't know what that is.
It's unrestricted. It's a special reserve. It is accounted as part of reserves. It's part of our ending fund balance. So in the general fund, we could put money aside in the general fund, but we can also put it in a reserve fund for non-capitalized equipment or non-capitalized projects, but we can use it as part of our total reserves.
So that 5.7 million, I'm looking at the first column, that isn't in anything else. That's its own category. That money isn't included in anything else.
Correct. So
And
we
That,
have.
that is a reserve that many boards prior even to this board has established as a secondary reserve. In large part, the board has established it due to the number of interdistrict students that we receive. And if suddenly that floodgate was to turn off, as you just heard Elvia speak, that just the decline of the enrollment could be a tune of $4 million. That's a big hit to a budget one time. And so that was an area that the board wanted to have another level cushion in case that ever changed, so that we could respond thoughtfully. In the years where we had the furloughs, et cetera, we actually had to dip into Fund 17 to get us through some of that time. And as we came back out of it, we restored what we put into it. So it has typically had about 5.7 million in it.
Okay. We can spend it on anything we deem necessary at the time, and it's not, it's a super rainy day fund.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
But
Very much.
any reserve you can only spend one time.
Yeah.
Because once you spend it, the money's gone. It's not an ongoing funding source.
But what if you still have checks left in your check?
I know.
And Scott, a lot of people use that as a cash flow if you do need it to borrow as a cash flow. So it is not recommended to have reserve at that level. I mean, this is low. And so the government accounting standards recommends a 17% reserve. So to have at least a 2-month cash flow, which I have discussed in our prior reports as well. But that's something that may be something good for you to hear it, that what we aim for is actually a 17% reserve.
So if we use this for, we get the deferred, like the government state says, yeah, we're going to give you $5, we're going to give you 3 today, and we're going to give you 6 months later. We use this to kind of fill that.
Exactly. Yes. Perfect. That's a great way to put it. So it's a cash flow mechanism as well as to if you need anything else, if you're short in your general fund.
That's correct.
No, it's a great question. It's typically a fund the board has tried to keep at its level, has tried not to spend down, and as if they have used it, to try to restore it when times allow it.
So unfortunately, if the enrollment does decline the way we anticipate and the revenue continues to be at 0% COLA, we will need to tap into Fund 17 reserves, primarily because if you notice on our 22-23 fiscal year multi-year projection, we are not anticipating meeting that 3% reserve. So therefore, we would have to tap into that Fund 17. Overall, we would have a 5.1% once we include that in there.
In order for the county to give us a positive certification on our budget, you have to show that you can sustain the budget for this year and 2 years out at a minimum of 3%. And so the only way we meet the 3% is to dip into Fund 17. And so we'll talk about some things that we think we may need to do should we think that that will be a reality in 3 years out. We often see, too, that the projections 2 years out are never really come to full fruition, but we also can't bury our head in the sand at the same time.
That's correct. This next slide will show our deficit spending throughout the years in the unrestricted general fund only. As you can see, in 17-18, we had a $8.6 million deficit, and we went from a $8.6 million to a $7.5 million in 18-19, and then in 19-20, we had an $8.5 million deficit. And in 2021, we are projecting a $6.8 million deficit. In 21-22, we are projecting a $785,000 deficit, and in 22-23, a $7.1 million deficit. I'm sure you're wondering why the big change. So in 2021, we do have a $3 million textbook adoption that we're not going to see in the 21-22 fiscal year. And then in 22-23, that's where we're going to see a huge reduction in revenues due to the declining of enrollment.
And this
STIRS
2.5%
and
increase to
correct.
STIRS and the 3% plus to PERS. And so that's why the third year, because we have definitely been trying to tackle the deficit spending. You know, prior, when you had the deficit spending in 17-18, 18-19, the board was contributing $2 million of its general fund dollars over to Fund 40, which was facilities, et cetera. So that would be at some point kind of taken out of the general fund. As you know, you advised us to stop that because that was low-hanging fruit when we thought that we were in a budget crisis. And so those easy solutions won't be there anymore. And so we'll have to take a look at things moving forward.
In addition to the first interim report and financial data, this year is slightly different. We do have to adopt and present to you our budget overview for parents. Well, given the current conditions, the LCAP requirement for 2021 was waived, and per SB 98, Ed Code Section 43509, districts were required to adopt and submit a budget overview for parents for the 2021 school year on or before December 15, and as well in conjunction with the first interim report. And so the 2021 budget overview for parents, it really was modified basically to take out the LCAP references and add the learning continuity plan in the report, and as well as include any federal allocations due to the CARES Fund. We have to now include that information in that report, as well as report our 1920 LCAP actions and services that were included in our 1920 LCAP. So you have that report included in the attachments. So basically, this is just an overview of what that report looks like. It just gives you what the total revenues we are receiving, what percentage is going to supplemental funds. We do not receive any concentration, so that's 3% of our total LCFF revenue. And we had to account for federal CARES money and what is our state revenue. So it's just giving the community that information. So what does the road ahead look like for us? We have to really be keep an eye, really close eye on what the January 21 budget outlook is going to look like for us. Are we continuing to, is the government going to continue to defer our revenues? Are they going to continue with the 0% COLA? Those are questions we really don't have at this point, but we have to be on the lookout for what the state provides for us. Currently, the LOA has given us some kind of notice that there may be some windfall revenues in the 2021, but keep in mind that that money might be only one time, so we cannot use it. It's not going to be an ongoing revenue for us. So there's a lot of information coming out from the LAO's office, but we won't know until the state budget comes out. So we have to be on the lookout for it, as well as what's ongoing. What kind of impact are we looking at with this pandemic? Will we continue to see learning loss, mental health, special education programs, PPE supplies, child care programs, technology devices, as well as what is our ADA funding issues are going to look like for in the next few years, as well as ongoing deferrals. Declining enrollment are also areas we need to look at. Deficit spending, we need to really start talking and having collaboration and discussions about that. And our staffing projections, what are our ratios currently based on our current enrollment projections? And really, we probably need to start considering a budget advisory committee to address our budget deficit. So with that, we present to you our first interim based on the most current information we have as of this point. So with that, as well as our budget overview for parents, we recommend approval as a positive certification. And with that, if you have any questions or any additional comments?
I have a quick question with that. So with the sharp decline in this last year that could be attributed to COVID, is the decline evenly distributed over K-12, or are we losing more high school kids? I'd like to hope that the elementary is still holding strong because that's our future.
It's really hard to tell. I can't see a huge difference. It's just really much across the board. But I can certainly give you a more detail if you'd like to, as far as where we are in our enrollment projections by grade level.
So
I
know
think
that
it's more elementary this time.
Elementary,
it's
yeah. The high
often
school's
the
actually
opposite. But our secondary schools and middle school seems to sometimes, it's probably elementary and middle school. Our high school seems to be relatively holding its own, give or take. And when we've declined at the high school, it's been an intentional decline at times. But I think we've seen a sharper decline than anticipated at elementary. We do hope that we'll bring the students back when we're out of this pandemic. It's something that every district, even if another district was in declining enrollment, this really just compounded and made it much more exponential. What Nancy, Dr. Nien, and Ms. Galicia have already built into the budget assumptions as well is staff reductions each year, because obviously if you have declining enrollment, you would have less positions. But anytime you're in a steep declining enrollment, the numbers never fall in perfect pockets of 24 at third grade, or at this many number at middle school and this many number at high school. And so it will be an issue that we might want to continue to take a look, have a committee. That's maybe what Fund 17 can help us with, is Fund 17 can not have to make such a knee-jerk reaction. We can wait to see how things progress. But remember, the earlier you make cuts, they have the effect in the 2 years out as well. You're saving that overall. So if there's some things that we know that we need to address sooner than later, we should be using the time between now and the spring to make any potential changes for the next year if we needed to take a look at it.
And we are actually working with Dr. Frazier already to look at actually staffing by grade, by site. So to see whether, Dr. Pulver, you're exactly right. They don't come in perfect cohorts. So we have to give a little room. But even with that, we do have a staffing reductions in the assumptions due to declining enrollment. This year alone is almost 400. So but that's something that, we don't anticipate that to be the same. But those are staffing adjustments we absolutely need to make. So we've actually already started meeting with Dr. Frazier to say these are what, based on the enrollment per site, when we roll them up next year, what would they look like? And to ask Dr. Frazier to see where are some of the staffing areas that he can help us work on. So we've been meeting already on that for some time at this point. And so I think that's a critical piece. Yes.
So do we have, for the public and those of you who may not know, we know that we have interdistrict transfers, but people may not realize that a district has to release a student for us to be able to take a student.
Correct.
And we have had some effect of some districts who have been closing off their transfers from leaving. And if you say this is a systemic problem, do you think we're going to continue to see that? And do you think, like, I know Long Beach is one of the biggest ones that we get students from. Is there any indication that we might not even get those students to be able to come in?
We haven't seen that. Long Beach also is a big beneficiary of interdistricts, because if you think about Long Beach is a big city. A lot of people work in Long Beach or in downtown Long Beach and want to have their kids closer to where they work, so to make it easier for drop off and pick up, et cetera. So they also receive a decent number of interdistricts. So we don't typically haven't heard of a threat there at Long Beach. Certainly some of our other districts, neighboring districts at the secondary level and the elementary level, if a small district, even large, if you're declining enrollment, you're going to want to hold on to your kids as much as possible.
Any other questions?
I was going to say, this is a great welcome to our new board members. Yeah.
Yes. So this is
sorry.
a two-part agenda item, the presentation, and then this is something the board, as one of your major responsibilities, is fiduciary responsibility. The other portion of the agenda item is to approve the first interim budget.
I'll move approval of the interim budget as presented.
Second? Anyone's? Okay. Any more discussion? Not a lot to say about that.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The motion carries 5-0. Thank you, ladies. That was a very difficult thing to share, but you did it so eloquently and with such wisdom and detail. Now we're moving on to approval of supplemental materials. Mrs. Reed? No?
Thank you so much, President Davison. Tonight, after a 30-day preview, we're bringing forward the approval of BASE Education, a social emotional learning curriculum that's been provided by Orange County Department of Ed at no cost to our district for the upcoming 2 years. This curriculum will be used inside both of our middle school well spaces by our counselors and school psychologists.
I have a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 5-0. And now we're looking at 12F, a resolution which Mrs. Hill is going to share with us.
D.
I'm sorry, D, sorry, 12, sorry.
So the resolution reads as follows. Whereas the legislature of California, State of California passed into law Senate Bill 435, which revisited sections of the Ed Code on credentialing of teachers. And whereas under the revised sections of Education Code, the Governing Board of School Districts by resolution shall provide specific authorization for assignments of teachers. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education for the Los Alamitos Unified School District authorizes additional specific assignments for teachers in the district for the 2019-2020 school year as listed below.
Dr. Frazier, would you like to address this?
Yes, Madam President, this resolution is regarding our credential audit. So in the past, it's been every 4 years. With the update to Assembly Bill 1219, it will be done now every year. And so this is really just looking at potential misassignments from our teachers. It could be anywhere from an EL authorization to teaching outside of your credential area potentially. So we're working to rectify any kind of misassignments that we have, but that's what this resolution is.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
When I read it, that was the motion.
That was the motion.
that was the
So
okay,
I'll
sorry.
second it.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This is a roll call, Mrs.
Oh, sorry.
Davidson,
Roll
I'm
call.
sorry.
Okay.
Mr. Fayette? Ms. Cattouli?
Aye.
Ms. Davidson?
Aye.
Mrs. Hill?
Aye.
Mr. Forehand?
Aye.
Moving on. We're looking at the second reading and final approval of revised Board Policy 5030, Student Wellness. Dr. Frazier?
Thank you, Madam President. Yes, this is our second reading of to update Board Policy 5030 regarding student wellness. Again, we are updating this policy based on CSBA's policy guide sheet, and then also this has been a board policy that has been taken to our Safety and Wellness Committee as well, and so we're working through some language with that committee.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Say no. Carries 5-0. And now we're looking at approval of the first reading of revised Board Policy 1400 on relations between other governmental agencies and the schools. Dr. Frazier?
Thank you, Madam President. This is our first reading to update Board Policy 1400, relations between other governmental agencies and the schools. This policy is being updated, again, based on CSBA's policy guide sheet. It moves key components from Board Policy 1020, youth services, which is obsolete, and incorporates them into Board Policy 1400, relations between other governmental agencies and the schools. This change maintains all partnerships with agencies that may be able to provide support for students and the district in one policy. It does not result in any substantial change to current practices.
Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
I'll second.
Okay, is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The motion carries 5-0. Approval of the first reading of revised Board Policy 5147, dropout prevention. Dr. Frazier?
Thank you, Madam President. This is a first reading to update Board Policy 5147, dropout prevention. Obviously, it's based on CSBA's policy guide sheet, and really, this policy will replace Board Policy 5149, where it talks about replacing the term at-risk students to at-promise students. So the Board Policy 5149 will no longer be applicable. The new policy contains the same content as the policy being deleted, but is now in alignment with current legislation and CSBA's recommendations.
May I have a motion?
I move.
Second.
Any discussion?
I do. I have a question, Dr. Fraser. This was also based on Ed Code. Did Ed Code come, if you know this answer or not, it's not that important, but did Ed Code come up with students at promise, or did CSBA come up with that term? Do you know?
I don't know that. I don't
Okay.
know who came up with the term. I know it's been floated around now for a few years. Actually, I think
Okay.
now we're just updating the language.
Okay.
But I can find out for you. I can put it.
I
on
was
the
just, no,
freaking
it's, no, that is not
I
that
really don't
important.
know.
I thought if you had it, I was just interested.
I believe the
idea of
Ed Code
somebody-
didn't stipulate the word, but that seems to be the phrasing that most districts have landed on.
Okay, I just can't see Ed Code coming up with it, so.
They stipulated to no longer use the term at risk.
Right.
And then, yes.
Thank you for that rather not important question answered.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The motion carries 5-0. Okay, H is approval of warrants, and the warrants are the bills that we pay every month. So after hearing that budget report, I wish we didn't have to pass it, but I guess we do. So do I hear a motion for approval?
I'll make a motion that we approve warrants as presented, and there were 60 pages of them.
Yeah, 60 pages.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Yeah.
You got your
Wish.
checkbook?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. No, I'm sorry, no, I didn't mean no. Carries 5-0. The next item is acceptance of donations, which I know Mrs. Hill and Mrs. Cattouli would always be so happy about this part of the night. And even in the age of COVID, we have lots to be thankful for and grateful to in our community. These are the donations from community organizations, families, foundations. Is there a total? Wow.
Nice.
This is great. Okay. And is there a final total for today, for this month?
Oh, wait, there's more.
There's still, they keep coming. Oh my gosh. Equipment too. Total monetary donations, $43,042.96. Thank you so very much. Our total to this year, $156,487 and $487.92. Thank you to the community. Do I have a motion for approval?
Also move.
I'll second.
I do want to make a comment when it flashed by. We, LAIF, the Ed Foundation for the school district, I think made $5,000 donations to our schools. So,
Thank you, Leif. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. The motion carries 5-0. And now we move to communication, and this is a chance where each board member gets.
We actually still have J and
Oh
K.
gosh, I missed the whole thing. Not that I'm in a hurry for this to be over with.
Don't worry, you're doing fine.
But you're getting into a rhythm.
I am
Great
getting
job.
to it. Thank you. That was very kind. Okay, so we are now have our classified personnel report and our certified personnel report. Dr. Frazier, once again, thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm bringing forward both the classified and certificated personnel reports as presented.
I'll move approval of certificated and classified reports as presented.
I'll second.
I would just like to add, sometimes you forget how offering someone a job can really change their life. And that I was reminded of that this past 2 weeks. A gentleman who's been a sub for us for several years in the grounds and maintenance department. I believe his name is Mr. Murray, and he was just selected as our grounds 2 position when we added that we're now taking over our fields. And I ran into him at the district office as he was having his new hire meeting. And the joy on his face, and he literally was saying what a difference that this makes for him and for his family. And in fact, Mrs. Davidson, he was actually pictured in the picture of one of the classified employees doing the grounds work. So it's just not lost on me that when we employ someone, the impact that it can have for themselves and for their families, particularly during difficult times like this. And so just really pleased to share that little story.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Anybody else?
Thank you, Dr. Pulver.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries 5-0. And now we are on to communication. Yes. And that's the point in which each school board member gets to share. And so I think we'll start with Mrs. Catulli, our former president, who might help me.
I was kind of surprised when I went back on my calendar to see what I've been doing, because I feel like it's COVID and all I do is stay home. Well, it's amazing how much Zooming a person can do if they really want to. I was able to attend our PTA council meeting that is still held monthly via Zoom. And one of the things that the council has decided to do, and thanks Genevieve Murphy and the rest of she's the council president, and the rest of the PTA presidents, is that they, as a parent organization, are really trying to make sure our LaSalle at home students and parents feel connected and part of the school district. Now, I do know that the at-home students and parents do things with the at-home kids, virtually, but they want them connected to the school sites. And they actually have a LaSalle at-home rep who comes to the council meeting and brings up issues or comments or shares what they're doing. And I just think it's just a great way for communication. And the rep made many very positive comments about how all of the sites and all of the principals are trying to make sure that everyone still feels connected to LaSalle. And so I thought I enjoyed that meeting greatly. I was also able to attend the solar meetings where we presented where we were going to be putting our solar panels in the future. I just recently got solar on my house, and all I can say, when you get an electric bill for $9.49, you're really happy. So I'm looking forward to our solar on our campuses, which will take a while, I understand. I also attended an Orange County School Boards Association Board of Directors, where we were trying to figure out what kind of seminar programs we're going to be having coming up for the future years. And we also discussed a couple of awards that we give out. LAIF held a State of the District, like they usually do in September, at the golf course or someplace where our superintendent would explain what we're doing, where we're headed, and all that kind of stuff. And we can't do that. So we had a Zoom meeting, and what was really nice about it is that it was kind of small. There really weren't that many people there. And Dr. Pulver gave an update on the district and then was able to answer questions. And I thought the question answer part was just really good, because these are questions that people probably would have asked if we actually had our State of the District. And communication is always great. So I want to thank LAIF for doing that.
And that was really their leadership circle. It was something just open to those who are members of the LAIF leadership circle.
Yeah, because they usually do something special at the State of the District breakfast. Okay, and then after all those fun things, California School Boards Association had their annual education conference. But before that, because I'm on the board of the CSBA, I got to attend an audit meeting at 7:45 in the morning. And I think I asked too many questions because I have been now voted the chair of the audit committee. And I keep thinking, just take it. If you don't understand, just smile. But it's like when Scott asked his question, you don't want to say aye if you don't know what you're eyeing about. So anyway, so now I get to be chair. Maybe I'll be calling Nancy, except they're a 501c4. So that's something totally different. Yeah. And then I had a day board of directors meeting, and then a delegate assembly meeting with representatives from all over the state. There were 283 people on that Zoom call. Went surprisingly well. But at the AEC, I thought some of the general session speakers were just outstanding. I always sign up for the legislative analyst office, the LAO, to see what they were saying. So Elvia, who left, they say that office, who really counts the pennies in the state of California, said that they don't think they will have to do the deferrals. That's their recommendation, is that the money they said they were going to give us, that they will give us, and they think that there's some money in the budget for one-time money. And they also talked about maybe he even should put it against the PERS and STIRS obligations. Don't know what they're going to say, but that was really interesting. And then I listened to Capital Advisors, and this is all speculation because the budget won't come out until January, and then we'll be able to know how we're feeling. And I was also able to attend an ROP meeting, and we also did our interim budget. And ROP, many years ago, I want to say, I think it was before I was on the board, I want to say maybe it was 25 years ago, they sold a large piece of property in Anaheim that was on a corner for a great deal of money. And so we have a huge reserve, but we are also deficit spending, and so the board pretty much gave the superintendent the direction we have to start looking at everything, which she was going to do anyway. But it's not as tight as Los Al because they sold this piece of property on a corner in Anaheim, and it couldn't be that far from Disneyland, you know? So that's my update on ROP. And I just want to wish everybody in the community the happiest of holidays. I know that Hanukkah started, I think it was last Thursday night, so happy Hanukkah to our Jewish friends. And the other thing I want to say to everyone, and I'm not judging, and I don't think anyone should ever judge anyone anyway over anything, but particularly over this whole COVID thing, it's getting a little out of hand. We all want to celebrate the holidays. We all want to be joyful. We want to be with our friends. We want to be with our families. But we have to be responsible. And if we're looking at the uptick now, I'm talking COVID through the state of California. I'm not referring to our school district at all. But you just look at the cases through the state of California. And yeah, it's after Thanksgiving. And so what is going to happen about what? It's going to be about the 7th of January when it's going to hit really hard. If we had all said, what the heck, I'm going to have all 50 of my family members over. So I'm just asking people to act respectfully and responsibly and still have a wonderful holiday season. That's it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I also attended the solar presentations, and we got some good feedback from the community and really appreciated that. There were 2 articles in the paper, local paper, that I just wanted to highlight. There was a great one regarding our director of instrumental music, Justin Padilla, and what he has been trying to do. And I'm a great Justin fan, and I follow the orchestra and the jazz band. I've seen them in many different places across Orange County, and I know that it's a difficult time for those students. They are just driven to perform, and makes it a little bit more difficult. But I'm hoping we can get some kind of a glimpse of what they did tonight, and just really, really happy that they're finding ways of being able to put their students on the performance stage, whatever that stage may look like. And then there was a editorial that was done by David Young, and it said "Democracy Close to Home." And I just want to read a small section of it. And it talked a lot about the different things that the school district has gone through this year. And it said, in a divided country, it is fresh to see citizens, students, employees exercise their rights only to have government truly listen and respond to them. Teachers, students, and parents demonstrated courage to exercise their rights to organize and voice concerns, and the system generally produced an accommodation. And the story just goes on to talk about what the district has been through this year, and all the different issues that have come forth, and how open we've been. And we've had many school board meetings where there have been hours of listening to public comment, and we've listened to every one of them. And I just was really appreciative. And this was the week of the election that somebody recognized that it can be done, and it can be done civilly, and we can have differences of opinions and still get to the point we need to, and still hear each other respectfully. So I really appreciate David Young for that article. I was at the PTA special education meeting the other night, and I just want to say that Mrs. Delk did a great job with that meeting. There are a lot of very passionate parents in that meeting, and very different age groups. You usually get PTA, and you're talking about elementary school kids or middle school kids or high school kids, and this is the whole gamut. So she did a great job. I also got some new LAHS spirit wear. I'm very disappointed. I thought I put my new mask in my purse, but I didn't. A great sweatshirt, and they were just really joyful. I don't feel like I get recognized very often, but I drove up to get my stuff on Saturday, and I had my beautiful little granddaughter in the the back seat. And they recognized me and gave me my new spirit wear. So that was really, really kind of fun. I also attended both of the LaSalle at Home meetings. And it would be hard to embarrass Mrs. Reed, but she didn't miss a beat. So the lights kept going out. So she spoke, and she never missed a beat. And she's wheeling her chair here, and she's wheeling her chair here, trying to get her lights to go on. But she just did an extraordinary job. And that was just a great meeting, and you laid everything out so clearly and gave great explanation of why and how things can be done. So thank you very much for that. But I did get a little giggle. I got to attend the theater behind the curtain, and I'm a huge theater goer. And Stacy, the director, is just, what she does is just amazing. And these students, they performed on the stage, they performed on the back of the performing arts of the stage. And everybody was 6 feet apart. It was really topical. They just really did a great job. I just enjoyed every moment of it. And then Leif did do a very nice thing for the leadership circle. If you don't know what the leadership circle is, you should find out, because
anybody can join. Anyone can join.
But they produced a film about this year and the district this year as well. So I thought that was really nice that they shared. And I just want to say that It is. I know it's going to be a difficult time for a lot of people, not being able to maybe be with the family that they're used to, and that can be very difficult. And I've had some situations. I've been very fortunate in some ways, and in other ways there'll be things that I really don't get. People I don't get to see, and I haven't gotten to see maybe all year long, and I'm used to seeing at the holidays. And so trying to find different ways of being able to celebrate with them, I think virtually, or drop something on their door, or do something that gives you a little bit of joy. And we are going to be looking at a new year and a fresh year, and I'm very hopeful. So have a wonderful holiday season, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Hill. Mr. Foreham, would you like to speak?
Yes, I got to witness, I got pictures of my grandsons participating in the Lee Elementary Virtual STEM Night. And I just wanted to thank I don't know who organizes this, but I know high school scientists and worked with small groups, and it was all done virtually. And I just want to comment that that's great in these times. I attended the CSBA workshops from my family room, and I can see the true benefit of getting to go to the conference, hopefully next year, to be able to meet people in person. And Scott and I are going back and forth. Well, where are you? What do you do?
Yeah.
So that was my only contact. No one else was home.
Yeah.
And I attended virtually the LAIF directors meeting.
Yes, state of the.
And that was very interesting, but I had a great conversation over the phone with Carrie, and that was even better because she and I've never met her, and I was able to connect with her, and I really understand what that, although my grandsons have participated in classes, I now understand the wealth that they provide for our kids. I wanted to thank Dr. Pulver for the solar walk. It went on and on and on and on, but yeah, we made every campus, and to visually see, because there are some concerns that we worked through, and I think I know Scott and Meg were there, and we weren't elected yet, so there was no Brown Act worry about three of us in the same room, so thank you. And then kudos out to Weaver for their upcoming Parenting in a Pandemic. And, still trying their best ways to help parents, with their issues. So that's great. So thank you.
Mr. Fayette?
I was going to say I was about a quarter of the things that Meg did, but I don't even think it was that high.
That's nice, yes.
I went to several things, and I just wanted to extend a thank you to Dr. Pulver and to CJ Nolans for the on-site tour. It was a 3-hour tour that was
With
very
no lunch.
helpful and useful. So I want to extend my appreciation to both of them.
Okay. And I feel like I've spoken enough tonight, so I'm going to be very brief. I'm very grateful to be able to have at least attended the conference, the state conference, virtually. I actually really liked not having to worry about anything but the top half of my wardrobe, and even most of the time that didn't matter. But there was so much great information and knowledge shared about mental health, diversity, equity, and social justice, about wellness centers, about special education in the time of COVID, that I really felt like even though we couldn't be there and do all of those personal exchanges, they still did a fantastic job of educating us and providing information. My biggest disappointment was not seeing Leslie Odom live, but he was incredibly wonderful. What I want to do is just say thank you. And I especially, I have to thank the people on our campuses who, some of them were afraid to go to work, some of them were eager to get there, but everybody came, and everyone's been trying so hard for so many months now, giving heart and soul in the classrooms, disinfecting and keeping everything safe in terms of equipment and tables and supplies. Our administrators on every campus have had to problem solve and figure out all kinds of details as things slowly evolved. And I especially want to thank Dr. Pulver and our team of administrators here at the district office, because I think it's obvious when from Northern California to districts south of us. They're seeking your guidance, your recommendations, wanting to model themselves after you. So even though we aren't always totally confident about every decision we make, it's based on science, it's based on research, it's based on incredible collaboration and sharing of ideas. And I think that as bad as it may feel to some people, we in this district have individuals who have come together and created an incredible plan. And I'm just so proud. And I just want to say that please take a break during winter. I don't want to say during winter break. Please stop, enjoy each other, love your family, and know that you deserve to be able to celebrate some time away from all of this. So try and tune off your brains. I know it has to be hard. And know that we as a board are incredibly grateful for the effort that you've put out and for the way that you've loved our kids and our families through the tough decisions you've had to make. So thank you very much. And now we normally would conclude or go into closed session, but we are now going to continue on with our organizational meeting in which board members are assigned or choose jobs to do for the next year. I'm not quite sure how to before I do anything, I do want to thank these two women for their patience, their guidance, their mentorship that will continue on until I get all of this straight. So thank you very much.
Will, you're doing a good job.
Okay, so we are now going to take board positions. Is that how do we do that? This is never, okay. So the first job, nominating County Committee on School District Organization members. Mrs. Catulli, you had that job.
I had that job. It's a real easy, do-nothing job, and I would, and yet seriously, I'll do it again. But if somebody wants a do-nothing job, I can share. Yeah.
And
I'm not sure you can share. Is that a position that's already been selected
no,
through the
this is
county?
This is the nominating committee. This is I am actually on the committee, but
Right.
this is just for the
got
people to be nominated for it. Every district has a person who's on the nominating committee because we do one vote as a district up and take it in. So,
okay, so
So what we probably really need are their alternates.
two alternates for this very difficult job.
It's very
I'll be the alternate for that.
Okay, Chris, and another, and Scott. Okay. Okay.
The third. Notice he said that.
So, the Greater Anaheim Special Education Local Plan Area. This is the SELPA program. Karen Russell did that for so many years, led it, was incredibly valiant in her efforts. I was an alternate. Would someone like to be the representative?
I will.
Okay. Mr. Forehand. And I will stay on as an alternate. Oh, no, who would like to be an alternate? Diana. Okay. Okay, I need.
See what you started, Mr. Fayette? I love it.
already. See, you're on a
Is there
roll.
anyone who would like my second alternate position taken from? Okay, well, let's leave it as is. Okay, Operations Steering Committee. Dave Boyer, a wonderful former board member, was on that, so we will need someone to continue. And the second representative, Mrs. Hill, are you going to continue on in that position? Okay. Would someone else like?
How about Scott?
Scott?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll be the second primary representative.
Okay. Would someone else like to be alternate? I'll go ahead and stay on that.
Okay.
Los Alamitos City District Working Group. Mr. Boyer was on that. Mrs. Hill is on it. I was an alternate. I live in Los Alamitos, and so does Mrs. Hill. Is there someone who would like to take Dave Boyer's representative position?
I do think it makes sense that we have somebody that
Lives. Yeah.
I
So I
agree.
think you should be.
Okay,
the
I'll do that.
And then Chris, isn't part of your district in Los Alamitos?
Yes, I can be the
Then I would make you
alternate.
the alternate.
Yeah.
Because we're still beachers.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Yep.
Which, perfect segue, Mrs. Catulli. Seal Beach District Working Group, Mrs. Catulli, Mrs. Russell was on that, so, Mr. Fayette, Scott, okay.
Yeah, your second part, yeah.
Okay. Our ROP program, Mrs. Catulli has represented
Oh,
us.
yeah, if I could be, that's the thing I really, really want.
Okay, we will keep you in that.
Thank you.
No, thank you. We need 2 alternates.
I'll be one.
Okay. Anybody else?
Okay, I have never missed a meeting.
Okay.
I know some of
Keep
these.
up
I'm starting
that-
to wonder: do we really need 2 alternates? Some like
I
you've
know.
never missed SELPA. Karen's never missed
Never
SELPA.
missed-
You've never missed.
Then if you want to look good and not do a lot of work, keep volunteering for alternate. Okay. West Orange County
Sorry,
Legislative.
can we just go back because I'm sure Tina's taking notes. Are we having 1 or 2 alternates for Orange County ROP? And is it Chris and Diana? Is that what we heard?
Yeah.
Perfect. Doesn't matter. I just wanted to make sure we got it. Perfect.
The West Orange County Legislative Committee, I was the representative on that. With COVID, nothing really much happened. I'd like to continue on and actually find out what the job is like.
As soon as you volunteer.
Yeah, since I was, and Diana, do you want to stay alternate?
I don't mind giving that one up.
Okay. Do I have 2 alternates?
I'll help.
Okay, how about both of you? Okay.
Okay.
It is a good way to get to know other people in the community outside of the school district. So I will say that he is now city representative.
Okay, and the next one is the safety.
Sorry,
task.
we just want to make sure. So, Mr. Boyer's coming off. Did Mr. Fayette and Mr. Foran both agree to be alternates?
Yes.
Perfect.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I'll,
No,
I'll
that's okay.
No, I'll restate it then. Safety Task Force, Karen Russell and Diana Hill, and Meg, you were the alternate. I would be happy to take Karen's place unless somebody else wants it. Okay, so,
Good.
okay.
And I'll
David
stay alternate.
Hill and Meg is going to stay the alternate.
Okay.
Okay, I have never said this right. Doc and Doc.
DAC and
That's the
DLAC.
District Advisory
DLAC.
Committee and the
I
District
went there and I
English
never got the
Language
acronym right.
Advisory Committee.
Okay, so Mrs. Catulli and I were both on that, and Mrs. Hill was the alternate. I would be happy to stay on it. I find it incredibly informational. And
I would be happy to stay on it too.
is that okay? Okay.
Next year, if you guys want it, you can kind of push us off.
Yes. So, and Diana, would you like to remain the alternate? Would somebody like to be alternate?
Okay.
Okay.
No,
Just kidding.
okay. You're holding out.
Special Education PTA Committee, Mrs. Hill is the representative on that. And would you like to stay on that, in that position? And an alternate?
I would
Oh,
think
that's
it
right.
makes sense that Chris would be the alternate.
I was going to say the same. Yeah, particularly we're serving on SELPA.
RCSD Working Group, Mrs. Hill, and I'm the alternate. I really actually think that I don't play a role in that since I don't live in Rossmore.
I think we talked about
Chris.
making a
Chris
switch.
lives in Rossmore.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then
And do you-
who's going to be the alternate?
do you- Okay.
Yeah, right.
That is
Okay,
You've
true.
yeah,
got
that's
some in
good.
Rossmore.
That's perfect. Okay, the Human Relations Advisory
Advisory
Council.
Yeah.
Mrs. Russell had a position and I held the other position. I would really love to keep my position, but the other one's open.
I'd like
and
to.
that was,
Chris wants
okay.
that one.
And Meg, would you like to remain?
Oh, I'll still stay as the alternate.
Okay, so that's this one. And now we do,
That's it.
oh, we don't have to.
So now I think you just do they formally vote on it? So now that we've taken all the names, you don't need to restate it because we have it reflected, but you would approve the board representative assignments for 2021 as submitted.
I think that's just the meeting,
That is more just informational
okay,
for
okay.
all of you. Because you're not bound to attend those. It's just
Yeah.
if we needed a liaison to something.
Okay, so do I ask for move to approve the board representative assignment for
can
20?
we just say as discussed, or do we need to read them all out?
We just read them out.
Okay,
As discussed during the process, yeah.
As discussed, do I have a motion?
so move.
Second.
Any discussion? Yeah, okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? No? Oh, you want to have one dissenting vote? Okay, Mr. Fayette says no. Okay, so it's a 4-1 decision. That concludes this part of our open meeting, am I right? Approval of the, yes. And so, do
Now
I
you get to
gavel?
use the gavel
Now I
in
get to use
closed
the gavel.
session.
So cool. Closed, and we will open for closed session now. Do I gavel?
Great.
Okay, and we are going to be staying here for closed
We'll stay